Well, happy Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome to the program. It is 9:03 and 25 seconds after the top of the hour, at least Central Standard Time. Up that an hour or decrease an hour or two the farther west you go from my location. Good to see you all this morning. Glad that you're here. Glad that hope you're having a good weekend so far. Mine is good so far. It has not snowed and iced up here yet, which is a little bit rare for this time of year. We get all our snow and ice comes pouring on usually around Thanksgiving time, sometimes Halloween time. And so it's kind of nice outside. It was supposed to snow again yesterday, and it's icy. I'm sorry, rainy outside, not rainy in the studio, or she'd be sitting here with me. She's up watching I'm laying in the girl's bed watching TV with the little girl this morning. They're watching the Johnny Depp version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Not one of my favorite portrayals by Johnny Depp. I think he does a weird version of that. But anyway, that's what she's doing. But it's been a little drizzly outside, just that misty stuff that gets on your windshield, And but it's been kind of warmish out, which is nice. Even at 39 to 43 degrees, which is not super warm, it's better than zero. So we still don't have snow on the ground. Knock on wood. I could go the whole winter without snow. The only problem is we'd have a drought in the summer. So unless we have, a lot of rain in the springtime. So it'd be nice to see maybe a little snow. Okay, at Christmas time, I can handle that. But it's got to go away by March the 2nd instead of lingering through the end of April. So how's your day? How's your weather? What's going on in your neck of the woods? I hope everybody's happy today. I hope that you've had a good weekend so far. It's half over, a little more than half over, actually. So what's everybody up to today? I just plan on going through a few headlines, and whatever people want to talk about today, we talk about, and we'll get into it and have some good conversations, I trust. Just want to say good morning to Sandra. Sandra, it's good to see you here this morning. Field guy, of course, he was the first one here. Grumpy Stack is in the neighborhood. I was just saying to myself yesterday, what's happened to Grumpy Stack? I don't see him very much these days. So it's nice to see you, brother. I know I've had an erratic schedule lately and all of that, but I'm glad you're here. I think you're here. At least you were here early. Morgan Snow, good morning to you. Coffee. Rainey's got me on. This is real coffee here, but Rainey's got me on this stuff called mud water, and it's not like your mushroom stuff. It's made out of all this natural stuff, and she got some special box of that in the mail, and so I've been doing that all week. And it's supposed to, I don't know what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be healthier for you. She said it's supposed to get you off of coffee. I said, but I don't want to get off of coffee. So we'll see where it goes. And that's supposed to cleanse your system a little bit and all of that. And I guess it's like getting the mushroom stuff, which having mushroom that's thinly veiled to disguise itself as your coffee. It doesn't sound good to me. It'd be like, I don't know. Is it like drinking a cup of mushroom soup? I have no idea. But I've got coffee this morning, which is good. I've always loved coffee, always had coffee in the mornings. I remember even when I was in college, I didn't like coffee yet. I had to, it wasn't until I started dating a woman who I eventually married that I got to like coffee, because she was a coffee freak. And so I'd have coffee every morning. I'd make coffee for her every morning. I'd make coffee for Rainey every morning. She doesn't drink it that much anymore. Her whole dietary thing has so flip-flopped over the last 10 years that I still find myself confused with making sure I'm doing the things that are good for Rainey's dietary restraints. And from gluten stuff, I think I've gotten used to, after almost 11 years, finding out what is and is not something that has gluten in it. And I haven't studied it. That's the problem. But I still look at it. Oh, by the way, we were on Good Morning Cordia. Good to see you. And Morgan Snow, I left off on you. Joseph is here this morning. Good morning, Joseph. Good to see you, brother. Randall Flagg is here today. And who else we got in the chat room so far? Carlene Smith is here this morning. And Adriana Metz is here. Good morning, Adriana. And who else we got? Bloody, 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 bloody. And there's more of you out there. So if you want to come into the chat room, come on in and say good morning. And I think I can probably take the banner down this morning. Here we go. Remove. Boom. There. Just me. And this is as good as it gets, folks. Anymore. I look in the mirror in the mornings and I go, this is as good as it gets. So aging and not rapidly, just noticing it. Every now and then you stop and you look and you go, just getting older. And, it's the way it is. And then people start looking at you in a funny way. There's a way where, like in my business, when I write a book or I illustrate something, it would be really cool if I was a younger guy, because it's like, young man, creates book, or it's sold for a movie, right, for an animated film or whatever it might be. When you're my age, I'm 63, it starts to become a thing of, oh, that's just an older guy that's doing what he's always done. So it's not as what's the word I'm looking for? There's not as much prestige in being old and having tried to accomplish something. But I'm still working on things that I hope will make a mark and be something that is an accomplishment, and take my family into my retirement, so we have something to fall back on. So that's the way it goes. And you work on things your whole life to try to make them work and do things for you, so you can be. Look, Buzz Lightyear's back there. He's waving at you. I don't recall his arm being up last time. So somebody was either messing with him or I don't know what. I just noticed that as I looked in the monitor. So have you noticed that with your own life? What's your life like? Are you getting to where you want to be? Are you accomplishing the goals you want to accomplish? Have you set your expectations too high of where you think you want to be? Have you not worked hard enough to achieve the goal you're trying to achieve? What do you think it is? Carlene got carded for a glass of beer last night. Nice. Hey, Audrey. So, did they mistake you for an 18-year-old, Carlene? So, And Everin Smith is here this morning. Good morning, Everin. So what do you think about all that? What do you think about your own life and what you're doing and where you're at? Do you feel like, are you at an age where you can start to look back now and go, hey, I'm making it. I'm where I want to be. Are you going to be somebody who can retire? Like I've talked about it before. Some of my friends from college, couple of my friends, three or four of my friends have retired already. They're my age. They've retired not from life. They've retired from having to work for a living because they've made it. And they've made what they were after, and they're good. And they're done working, and now they're working on fun stuff, their retirement stuff. Is this when guys, what do we do in our retirement? Or women, what do you do? Do we go, okay, I'm financially secure now for the rest of whatever my days are. Now I'm going to go make birdhouses in the garage and put them out on the front lawn for sale. I don't know. What do you do with your retired time? I couldn't imagine always doing the kind of things I'm doing now, except I do the things I do now, except not worry about that one's going to pay that bill, that one's going to pay that bill. I'd paint for fun. I'd write for fun and things like that. So what would you do with your retirement? What would you do if you could retire from having to work or needing to work to make your ends meet, but retiring to do the things you want to do? What would you be doing? And Audrey, thought about you a lot this last week because my kids were all at Disney World. And when they did Galaxy's End and Rise of the Resistance and all of that stuff. So your name always comes up in my head because, as I know, that's where you're working. So that's pretty cool. They got my daughters, for as much as they have been, my older daughters, to Disney World. And the line of work they're in with the Mermaid Tales, they have a lot of friends out at Disney World that work there. And so they got, like when we took the Egypt trip 10 years ago now, almost, where we brought people along. We knew so many archaeologists, and John and Maria were archaeologists there. We knew so many people in the Ministry of Antiquity. We always had people that would show us through the places that nobody else gets to see, because we had special dispensation from people kind of in charge of things. And that's the way it was at Disney World, that they got to see a couple of things and do a couple of things because they knew people out there, which is pretty cool. Thank you, Audrey. There's a whole lot more. I just put up daily ones, photos, as my daughters would send them on their phones. So the kids didn't send much. They were just busy, and I didn't expect much from them. But so Carlene said, must be. She said, I can't get you a beer without ID. I'm like, I'm 60. So, yeah, that's, yeah, some places have laws where they got to look at your card in order to, even when I worked at Quick Trip for that couple of months, if somebody was buying beer out of the alcohol cooler, we always had to look at their card because you can't enter the sale without entering their driver's license or scanning their driver's license. And that's just the way they get around the age thing. So sometimes they said you can hit the bypass. If you look at somebody and you say, that guy's obviously not a day younger than 42, you can clear him. And there were a lot of people I did that, Some guy walks in with white hair and grizzled white beard, and he's got the turkey neck and stuff like that. You know what? You just hit up. You're good. You don't want to insult them and go, hey, you look old. I'll just hit the pass button. So, what if they don't drive? They can't buy alcohol without an ID, is what it comes down to. You have to have a state ID or something, or a passport card or something like that. About the only way they'd get away with it is if you hit the pass button, because you can tell there's no question that this person is way over the drinking age, way over the age of when you can start drinking. There you go. That's how I meant that to come out. 21. So yeah, if they don't drive, there you go. There's other ways to tell, and if they have absolutely nothing on them and they look like they're 20, you just go, I can't sell it to you without seeing your ID. And you're not allowed to sell to anybody for somebody else. What if they're buying it for a minor? So what if a guy comes in and he looks 20? And he goes, well, here, my buddy's got his ID. He's going to pay for it. Can I deny that sale? Only if I think there's something fishy going on. And then I'll give them the phone number. I would. It never happened, but I would give them the corporate phone number. I go, look, I have to do this. This is the procedure. It's something that I am bound to do by law. So just give them a quick shout and ask them how you want me to resolve this for you. And or I can do it for you if you'd like. Never had to run into that. never had a problem with it. So anyway, some of the headlines. How about that? Why don't we get into what's going on in the world this morning? Remember, Sunday morning is not like a intrepid radio program show like we do during the week, where I have scheduled topics. Friday I didn't, because I didn't think I was going to make it on Friday. I almost canceled the show on Friday, but we still made it in, and we just went off the cuff, talking about certain things about Christmas and the forming of the Christmas story, the historical, biblical Christmas story, and so on. And so that's a little different. But Sunday's supposed to be casual. Sit back, we do our own thing, and we're a little more casual on Sunday mornings, for those of you who don't know that. So what's going on with everybody? You can bring up topics if you'd like. I also know I'm looking at headlines here. Let's see. Top stories from, I don't know why I only ever get what seems to be liberally biased news organizations that come up first. I've just got a screenshot here of, I put in news headlines. I've got CNN, NPR, San Francisco Chronicle, NBC News, USA Today, and AP News. Let's say I was more or less conservative and I wanted to go to some of the conservative channels. What if I wanted to go to Fox News and see what Fox is? I'm scrolling down Google's first page. Oh, there is a Fox News story. Fox News, breaking news and updates. How about that? There's a Washington Post at the bottom. There is Associated Press. Again, these are all to click on those sites and you can see their headlines. Here's some of the headlines without getting into the stories. What we know about the killing of 3 Israeli hostages by the Israeli Defense Force. Did you hear about that sad story? Is that the Israeli Defense Forces, their military in Gaza, came across 3 people. They didn't know who they were. They were wondering. They didn't know if they were rigged a bomb. They didn't know what it was, and they ended up shooting them dead, and thinking they were Hamas. And it ends up that they were 3 of the Israeli hostages that were just free and roaming, and they don't even know how they got there. So there's a little bit of a controversy behind that story. Here, let me just look at that for a second and tell you what that's about. If you had not heard about this, that these hostages, that an investigation is now underway after a tragic incident on Friday that saw the Israeli Defense Forces shoot and kill 3 Israelis in Gaza who had been taken hostage by Hamas during the group's October 7th terror attack. Now, here's the sad reality of war, is that collateral damage like this does happen. So the big question is, they're investigating now, I'm sure. How do you avoid doing this again? Why did this happen? What should there be any culpability for this? What would you feel if it was your relatives that had been taken hostage, and the army that is there to help set them free ended up killing them? How would you feel about that? Joseph says, Scotty, your channel is a breath of fresh air. Oh, there's a nice comment. Thank you, Joseph. Breath of fresh air from the world. Even when the topics are current and scary, you got good vibes over here. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Joseph, nice to have you here today. So what do we know about this story? What the Israeli military said happened is this: that the men were killed while waving a white flag in violation of IDF rules of engagement. An IDF official said. The official, I don't know why that's against the rules. Hasn't waving a white flag always been a universal symbol of surrender or truce or peace, or I'm not harming you? But the IDF says that that's against their rules of engagement. Or wait, the men were killed while waving a white flag in violation. Okay, they were waving a white flag and they were killed anyway. That's against the rules of IDF rules of engagement. There, that makes better sense. And so the official who spoke to journalists on the condition of anonymity to speak freely about an ongoing investigation, said the trio emerged shirtless, waving their flag from a building tens of meters away from a group of Israeli troops in the Gaza City neighborhood of Shajaya. So tens of meters. I don't know how many that would be. Are we looking at, 30 feet, 60 feet, 100 feet? So at least one soldier felt threatened and opened fire, killing two of the men immediately. And the third was wounded and ran back inside the building. The Israeli unit overheard a cry for help in Hebrew, at which time the brigade commander ordered his troops to stop shooting. However, there was another burst of gunfire. The third hostage died later. Now, it's unclear which hostage survived initially and when he was killed, the official added. So the Israeli soldiers didn't anticipate that they'd be approached by hostages, but instead they thought that they'd find them either in a building, in a tunnel, or handcuffed or something like that, restrained in some way. And this was spokesperson Daniel Hagari from the IDF. And he said at a news conference Saturday that the Israel's military did not have intelligence about three hostages mistakenly killed, adding this is a mistake and a malfunction. And so Shahaya, Shehajaya is the name of the neighborhood they were in. Shehajaya, I don't know how it's pronounced. So it's been the scene of fierce fighting in recent days, with Israeli forces confronting ambush attempts and attacks that involved suicide bombers or assailants dressed in civilian clothes. Assailants dressed in civilian clothes is what they've been facing. And so this is why I think somebody jumped the gun and shot these guys. Hagari broke the news of the incident on Friday, calling it a sad and painful incident. And he said the IDF assumed the three Israelis who were killed had either escaped or been abandoned by their captors due to the fighting in Shahaya. I would think that a simple solution off the top of my head, money doesn't solve all problems, and you don't just throw money at everything to solve it and say, there, we fixed it, we've thrown money at it. But I would think one of the first steps that Israel could do for this family, and I'm sure they're way ahead of me because they treat their people well, I think Israel would take care of these families the rest of their lives. There would be monies put out, and you'd be tax-free in Israel, and you wouldn't have to work another day in your life, your family and your kids and whoever's left behind, your immediate family. So I would think something like that. I'd look at that and I'd say, that's got to be a resolution for something like that. So this story does go a little deeper. It says, what's the IDF going to do to prevent similar problems? You can dig into that. They're now being told to exercise additional caution when encountering people in civilian clothes. So what do you do when normally Hamas, they'll strap bombs to kids, for God's sake. So what do you do when you're a soldier and you see that? How do you encounter that? What do you do? But they have to take extra precautions. What we have told our troops is to be extra vigilant and do one more safety check before dealing with kinetics with any threat that they face on the battlefield. Conricus said, but it's a very challenging environment that our troops are in. So the IDF alleged Friday that Hamas has attempted to use dolls and backpacks with speakers playing sounds of crying or children speaking in Hebrew to lure Israeli soldiers into traps. So who were these hostages? They were all young men, Yotam Hayim, Alon Shimriz, who were kidnapped from a kibbutz near Kfar Aza. That's where the initial October 7th butchery took place by Hamas. The commune, the kibbutz, Kfar Aza was the name of the place, just a few miles from the Gaza border. And they were, remember, that kibbutz, basically, think of it in these terms. A bunch of artsy hippie people farming, living in their own community. And there were 200 of them butchered. 45 that we know of, 45 babies butchered, some in vitro, some pulled out of the mother's stomach and butchered, beheadings and stuff like that. That all took place October 7th. Raping of women took place there. And this is another topic, by the way. Have any of you seen anything on this, heard anything on this, or talked about any of this? The massive movement that has begun to say, where is the women's movement that is traditionally always standing up for women's rights? The Me Too people, the I don't know what you call it, so I'm using loosey-goosey terms here, but the rape people that are advocating against rape and violence against women. Yet, for some reason, like COVID was, it tends to break down to a left or a right type of issue. And if you're part of one political party, you can't stand for this issue because it's traditionally something the other party stands for. So with all these people wanting to support Palestine and Palestinian rights, and look toward speaking of the genocide of Jewish people and Israeli rights, they're not standing up against the rape of women by Palestinian Hamas. So, yeah, where's Alyssa Milano, says Steph Cuervo Queen. She's all about women's rights. Frankly, I asked the same question, Steph, but then I quickly follow it up with I don't give a flying rat's ass what Alyssa Milano has to say. So, sorry if you like Alyssa Milano. I thought she was cute as a kid in the series with Tony Romano, whatever. Was that his name? Tony Romano? Tony. Angela? Whatever that show was, I can't remember. But she was cute then. She got hot as she got older. Then she got political. She got a political mouth going. Lost interest because I thought she was kind of dumb. Tony Danza. That's it, Jason. All I remember was him saying on that show all the time, Angela, in his New York accent. Tony Danza. Who's the boss? There it is. Who's the boss? See, Jason remembers. Let's have should have a theme music for Jason Remembers. How you doing, Jason? By the way, anybody who wants to come in, I don't know why Jason made me think of this. Anybody who wants to come in and talk about junk on Sunday morning, remember, Sunday morning, very casual version of this show. We don't get into it. Well, we can get into it deep, but it's not an official topic like, talking about the historicity of certain Gnostic texts or something like that. We're not doing that on Sunday morning. I was there, Scotty, 3,000 years ago. Yes, you were. 3,000 years ago. Oh, look what I pulled out of my pocket. This is the sweater I had on yesterday. There's my ticket to get into the U of M cheerleading championships. This is where my 8-year-old daughter was in that yesterday. So we had to go down to the Williams Arena for the cheer championships. I don't know if the price is on there. Yeah, there it is. Right up at the top, right here, right under this finger, right there. Look at that. For a single parent to get in, $18 to go see my own kid in a cheer competition. Now, I get it. It's not at our school. It's and the University of Minnesota is putting it on. And so it was regional, or all over the state and part of western Wisconsin and so on. So we had to pay $18 a piece, Rainey and I, to get in there. Plus $10 for parking, because you're on the U of M campus, which we call here Dinkytown. It's you wouldn't know you were on a university campus until you start looking around and seeing kids of university age and appearance walking around, and all the restaurants and shops and everything down there. Very eclectic part of town. We always looked at it as being kind of you'd think like the grunge capital of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I grew up there. The great book shop was there. When I was doing comics back in the 1980s, it's a great comic book shop there. I did a book signing there for comic books. So I guess it wouldn't be a book signing officially. It would be a comic signing. And
it's a signing.
That
it's a signing. Just take it. Just take it.
Just
take the win.
Yeah. So loved Dinkytown. Always loved Dinkytown. Connected to a part, and it's in Minneapolis proper. So you drive right out of the downtown, tall buildings, skyscrapers of Minneapolis, and you cross over the Mississippi River Bridge, and you are in Dinkytown. It's over there. Neat theater district over there. So anyway, that's where we were, at the Williams Arena. And all in all, yesterday, to go see our kid. Number one, your kid is I'm dramatically switching topics from Israel for a moment here. But when you are a parent, I always get Bill Cosby in mind, from pre-scandal-ridden Bill Cosby days. When you're a parent, when you're a parent, you have to do sometimes silly things for the sake of your kids. Like, if I didn't have children, would I want to spend a day in an arena watching grade school, middle school, and high school cheerleaders for 7 hours straight? Well, maybe if I was kind of weird. Ooh, daddy likes cheerleaders. No. You go because your kid's in cheerleading. And so you go watch their team's routine, which lasts all of 3.5 minutes. And so out of the 7 hours, you're sitting on your ass in granted, a very nice arena. This is University of Minnesota, Big Ten stuff. You're spending all this time because your kid's on at 11:10 a.m. for 3.5 minutes, and the award ceremony's at 5:00. And they've got routines from all the schools going on until 4:30. Then there's the dance party out on the floor, the basketball floor. And so they're all out there jumping up and down. 500 cheerleaders, ranging in age, again, from second grade all the way up to seniors in high school. And they all love each other because we're all cheerleaders. Oh, ooh. And so that's what Rainey and I did yesterday. But we had to pay, between the two of us, $36 to watch that all day, plus $10 parking, making it $46. Plus, we were going to go to lunch. We've gotten to some of these before, and we take off early. Do you really want to stay for the award ceremony? Your team didn't win. So we'll take off and we'll go do lunch or something with the kids. But so we're there at the arena. We got some nachos. Rainey and I did. Let's get some nachos while we're waiting. So we got some nachos and 2 soda pops. Cost me a grand total of $39 and some odd cents. And it's not that I didn't notice it as we were going. We knew it was going to be expensive. I'm the kind of guy, Jason, are you anything like me? I'm the kind of guy that I'll go in someplace. I don't really pay attention to pricing. If it's like, I'm going to get a hot dog, give me a hot dog.
Right.
And you think, oh, a hot dog, and you're not even thinking about it. You don't think, what, $8 for a hot dog? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it gets pretty interesting at the Ralph Engelstad arena here in Grand Forks at University of North Dakota. You go for a hockey game. I don't go to a lot of hockey games. If UND's playing Army, I'll go watch them play military game. But yeah, it gets stiff. It gets really stiff. I got a giant thing of nachos.
Yeah,
wasn't horribly priced. Wasn't like what you dealt with. But it was one of those things where it's like I am eating this entire container of nachos on principle alone because of how much it cost. Like I'm getting every last in red cent.
Yes. What else was I going to say about that yesterday? The food yesterday. Oh, when we went in, we had initially packed a little bag. We had some bananas in it. Apples, healthy food. A couple of tumblers, metal tumblers like these. Doesn't ring with my fingernail. Oh, it doesn't ring with a pen. What does it ring with? Now I'm obsessed.
Now you have to do the ASMR videos.
It's got stuff in it, so it goes clank, clank. Yeah. So we didn't have, but a friend of ours, as we were getting there, a friend of one of the scout moms had her kids in cheer as well. She's walking out of the building, and she goes, "Oh, hey!" And she goes, and she holds up 2 metal tumblers, and she goes, "I got to take these out to the car because they took them out of my bag."
Yep.
Okay. Well, there's water in them. So we got to the door, and they searched her bag. Which, okay, I get it. The day and age we're living in. And she pulled out one of those little packages about this big with 4 or 6 little peanut butter Ritz cracker things, little things. And she goes, "You can't have these."
Yep.
I'm like, and she was very nice. She was almost apologetic. And so we didn't give her too much shit about it because she was being a nice person. And I said, "Really? We can't have crackers?" She goes, "Well, we got to take all this unless you're diabetic." I said, I'm very diabetic." She goes, "Oh, do you need these?" She said, "Here, I'll set these on the floor up here by the front door behind the garbage can. You can come and get them if you need them." And so as she was too nice to pull this out in its full glory, but I said something about now. And she's, "Okay, you're good to go in now." And I go, "You sure you don't want to have me frisked and strip searched to make sure I'm not smuggling in some Mentos?" And she laughed.
It started off with the Mentos package and then just flipped it and walked through. The fresh maker.
That's right. So, yeah. So that's, you got to pay for their food, the exorbitant prices for their food. Hot dog. I couldn't believe it. I took a picture of a hot dog that my daughter was holding. Hot dog on a bun. Yep. Hot dog. It's not like a special hot dog, like made out of the special portion of veal that they've chopped up instead of calf hoof for your hot dog.
Is that the A5 Wagyu hot dog that you got there?
Yeah. And just a regular old hot dog. You know what? It was $7 for a hot dog. You know what? Even in this economy, I can go and get some Oscar Mayer hot dogs for about $4.50 a pack, and go over to the gas station to get hot dog buns for $2. So for $6.50, I bought a dozen hot dogs and usually 8 buns. But no,
it goes all back into the athletics program in school. You should be okay. No, you should be okay paying that.
That's right. So I buy a hot dog for $7 for my starving child. We go, "We're out of here in about 2 hours. You sure you can't wait? We're going to go out and get something to eat afterwards." "I'm starving." So we got our hot dog. And so I made her feel guilty with every bite. Oh, there's Oh, you just took about $1.50 worth in one bite there. Why don't you spare it? Make it 65 cents a bite. No, I didn't do that. I could have, but I didn't. I'm a nice dad. I'm a loving dad.
Yeah, when it comes to collegiate, and school sports and stuff like that, I am growing more and more on the fence. Now, I'm not a huge sport guy. I was raised on professional baseball with the Cincinnati Reds and stuff like that, so that always holds a special place, right? Just because of the memories and things like that associated with it. But it's this. I have this weird outlook on things, and where I kind of dislike professional sports because you have all these guys that are signing $20 million contracts to go play the game, right? And I understand supply and demand and all. I do understand the mechanics, but at the same time, you look at professional sports, you go back in history 80, 90 years, and a lot of these guys were regular Joes. They had family farms. They had, they worked in the, in the factories tooling propeller shafts or whatever. They put in crops, and then they went and played ball. And so, there's a certain level of kind of, when looking up to sports heroes, it's like, I respect that. Like, there's a lot of respect there. With the college nowadays, with how things are, college athletics, I almost have more respect for college athletics than I do professional athletics, because
we determined
they're there for love of game
30 years ago.
Right. They're not playing for a salary. They're playing for, love of game, and they're using
sis boom ba rah rah for my school.
Right. But when you go into the college, sport arenas and stuff like that, and the costs that are associated with it, it starts leaving a bitter taste in your mouth. Right. And Ralph Engelstad gets pretty pricey with things, and it's kind of frustrating. And so it's like I respect what the kids are doing, but it's like,
I know.
It almost hurts too, in a way, when you start,
and they build these fantastic arenas, like you say, and I'm looking at some pictures right here of the arena itself. It's kind of a refurbished old arena that's been at the University of Minnesota for years and years and years. They tore down the old, they didn't really tear it down. They refurbished it. It was 90 years old, that arena was. And now that arena, it's all modernized. It kind of looks the same thing. It's got the coved front with the tall windows and all of that. And the indoor is fantastic. I don't know how many people it seats, but it looks smaller when you're inside. But it seats a hell of a lot of people. They do basketball in there. They do hockey in there. I put up some pictures on my own site. It's got the big cube that comes down in the middle. It's got the video on all four sides, and it's all modern. Everything is modernized. It's just a fantastic looking arena.
That's one of those things that I love. I love when universities, or if you go on the professional side, organizations, preserve the historical stuff and don't just tear it down. Yes. I mean, there's some things like if it's getting to a point you're worrying about structural integrity, I got it,
right,
and those things. But a lot of times it's just, we want something new and we want higher capacity.
Right.
And how many baseball games have you been to where it's like, the seating in a stadium is absolutely, to ridiculous volumes.
Right.
But the bleachers out in the outfield, the nosebleed, none of that is full.
Yeah.
Even the lower areas, closer to the baselines, they aren't full. And so it's kind of like, how many people really are coming to the game? Yeah. And does this really justify it? If you can get
on that note, on the justifying it, I kind of look at it a little bit. I've said that sometimes. I've been a stick in the mud, and I go, "Oh, can we really justify that cost for this?" And I go, "Well, there is the flip side of that says, well, maybe we should justify it only because this is the arts or athletics. These are things for the people, for the school. Maybe
Right.
there are things that we need high price tags on because they are for the good of everybody." I
Yeah.
don't know.
And that's a question I think a lot of us have, and I think it's
Gladiatorial games. We should have those.
yes, Circus Maximus.
Right in circuses.
We'll have them throwing
By the
bread.
way, that's the arena we were in yesterday.
That's a nice
That's the
arena.
interior. So
It's a very nice arena. I
it's
just
very nice. And everything all around the stairways, the bathrooms, the everything is top notch.
Right.
Which is very
and
cool.
it's nice
very
that they were able to refurbish that arena and
Yes.
rework it so they could do that. And I wish that there would be more instances of that.
Yes.
And I say that, like here locally in Grand Forks, so we have University of North Dakota here in town, and they've got the Hislop Center, which is a big aquatic center, right?
Yes.
And they're tearing it down. It's gotten too old. But then you start looking at other things around the city, and we have school districts, right, that have neglected their facilities through deferred maintenance, where it's like, well, we have this thing that's going to become an issue. Well, we're not going to do that. We're going to spend it on more insert whatever else here, right?
Right.
And then they do that to like an entire school, right? So Valley Middle School here in Grand Forks, they've decided to tear the whole school down and just build a whole new campus rather than add to the current campus and refurbish.
I think sometimes they look at the cost of, what's the cost of refurbishing compared to the cost of just building new?
Right.
Should we build new because it's going to cost it? Maybe it'll cost a little bit more or a little bit less, but then we'll have everything brand new.
Right.
So there was a school here in New Richmond, Wisconsin, that was the old middle school. I think it was either the middle school or the elementary school. Old architecture, 1910, 1920, somewhere in there. It was built, that beautiful old school looking architecture. And it stood empty for years.
Mm-hmm.
We walked through there a couple of times. We had a school. It was a different town here, not far from here, where we lived in Ellsworth, way back when we had the ranch. And Uncle Dave was looking for a facility and to start a theater company and a production company. And they had the school that was 2 blocks from us. Same deal. The old architecture, 100 years old. And we walked through, we're looking at the theater and the stage. And Dave walked in there. I remember Dave just going, "Oh, look at this place." The beautiful old stage with the grand old wood carved proscenium arch and the gymnasiums and the facility. But the place was starting to fall apart.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that bad. They had it up for sale.
Right.
And if memory serves, the county, I think it was the county that was selling it, had it for a really cheap price. But you had to take it under the terms that you would fix it up.
Right.
And do something with it, not just level it and preserve it. And I think it was like, it was going to cost $500,000 to refurbish the place, but you could get it for $19,000,
right?
Kind of thing. And
even still, at $500,000 to refurbish an entire school,
isn't that bad at all. And I might be undercutting that. That was about 15 years ago.
Well, and that's one of the things that kills me, like with the Valley Middle School issue here, is that you want to tear down a school. It was built in the 1950s, and so was it the impressive, much older, Art Deco and earlier, type architecture? No, it wasn't. It was very much keeping in terms of how things were done in the 50s.
Yeah.
But the thing that kills me is the fact that goes back to what I was saying with the deferred maintenance thing. These guys keep pushing these things off rather than taking care of them.
Right.
And then the whole facility ends up being considered something we need to tear down. And when you look at the costs, it was like, well, it's going to cost us like the pitched price ranges, right? Was, well, it's going to, it's going to take us $30,000 to refurbish this whole, or $30 million to refurbish this whole school, but it's only going to cost us 40 to 45 million to build a new one. And me, as a taxpayer, I'm like, oh, hold on, wait a minute. For the last 50 years, you guys proved that you couldn't take care of your toys. So why should I give you the ability to go buy a new toy? How about we refurbish this? You guys prove to the community and the taxpayers that you can maintain a system and keep it running, make it last, and then we can squirrel away money.
And you can take old buildings and refurbish them. I want to give a personal example. My twin daughters, Abby and Bryn, who started their company about 12 years ago, Finfolk Productions.
Yeah.
You all want to go look at their website, FINFOLK, finfolk.com or finfolkproductions.com. They make mermaid tails, for God's sake. And as you've all heard me say a million times, they're technically the multimillionaires in the family. They have done very, very, very well at this because of the things they've tapped into and the communities that are out there and so on.
I've met people who have their tails like random things. It's like, oh yeah, I do this on the side, and I use a mermaid tail. Oh, who'd you get it made by? Oh yeah, Finfolk. I'm like, dude, I know their dad. Like,
no, you know their dad?
Yeah.
I used to get such high praise from their followers when my kids would introduce, this is our dad, like on their Instagram or something where they have like 2 million followers. I don't know what the hell it is they've got over there, but I'm looking up their Instagrams. You can go to Instagram and look up Finfolk Productions and you can see their stuff. It's just absolutely unbelievable stuff that my daughters do. I'm going to copy one picture for those of you who have never had a chance to see it. Just something recent they posted. But what I'm saying is they bought they were out in North Carolina. They had started this company in St. Paul, where we were living, St. Paul, Minnesota. Then they moved it from there to Hawaii back in 2014. And found that because they knew they'd take trips out there. They had oceanic photographer friends out there. They did photo shoots with in their mermaid tails and all of that. And so they thought, what a beautiful place to do what we do. Go to paradise to create, dreams. And so they moved there for about a year and a half, and it was just too damn expensive, And so they said, you know what, we got to move this back stateside. It costs us, several times as much money just to do what we're doing out here. So, having said that, they moved back and they went to North Carolina. I don't know what the draw was to North Carolina. Either they knew some people out there, but I know Bryn met a boy out there, but I don't think they were dating at the time. And that's her husband now, Zach, who owns several tattoo shops there. And when you think tattoo, don't think grungy type of. Zach's a clean-cut looking guy. He looks like a less muscular build-out of Henry Cavill, who plays Superman. That's who Zach looks like to me. He's tall and lean, but that's the look. So all that just to give visuals that are in my head. So they started this company, and they bought a building in not Charlotte. It's outside of Charlotte, Lincolnton, North Carolina, about 25, 30 miles outside of Charlotte, something like that. Half-hour drive, something from Charlotte. And so they bought this old building, and the guy had it up for sale for, I don't know, $190,000 or something. And the more they wanted this building and they looked into it, they find, and it was built in like 19 15, something like that. Used to be an old dry goods mercantile exchange building right off the railroad tracks, brick building, your typical look at Gangs of New York, I would always say, and look at the factory buildings. Take all the equipment out. That's what they're building, like 3 floors of wavy wood floors and big, 1x1 wood beams, all through every 12 feet through the whole floor. Big, long, deep building, haunted basement and haunted attic and all that. And well, they bought this place. And they came in, and the guy, I guess, who owned it, without maligning him, I'm not naming him, so apparently, had a little crack house going in there and, little side gigs, going on in there. And so he wanted they had talked him down to about 160. And then finally my daughter said, well, we'll give you 92 cash on the barrelhead. Guy goes, sold, took it. Building's theirs for cash, $92,000, which they had in the account. They didn't take out a mortgage on it. And that's how well they were doing when they bought this building 6-7 years ago. And so now you got this old building, and they had to bring it up to code for what they do. They had to bring up the HVAC. They had to totally redo. They had an old freight elevator in the middle of the building. That was one of those, with the big wooden thing that went up and down, and, the slat wood, and, it'd squeak and the big old, and so they had to take that out and put in a stairwell right in the middle of the buildings that goes up, and they had to put an exterior stairway, all top-notch stuff they've done, and they had to refurbish that whole place. They put about $400,000 into refurbishing that building. But here's the all of that palather I'm talking here. They took that building and put that much money into it and kept it pristine. It still looks like a building out of 1915, 1920. They kept the old sign you can still see that's painted on the brick, the mercantile, dry goods, whatever, grocery. Their front door is still the original wood doors from the building. They didn't replace those. They just put a hefty security system on it. Stuff like that. That's the building where they had me come and do the mural that ran on the main floor. When you walk in those old doors, it goes down from the front corner 75 feet down to the corner, and it wraps around the corner. And 12-foot ceiling. 12 foot. I'm looking at my walls here. I've got like 9-foot, 10-foot ceilings in the downstairs here, which is nice. I like that. I like a basement with a high ceiling. So I did a big mural, under the water mural. You can go look at that on my website, by the way, if you just want to see what their stuff looks like. And so they took that, and they had the opportunity to totally update this thing. And it's where something I hate as a purist. I like old architecture. I love the art of old architecture. I hate to see old buildings, old places where you can say, hey, that was built in 1910, and you walk in and everything's modernized. All the window fixtures are modernized. All the doors are modernized. And it's like they've kept it pristine. And they still, in that building, for all that they do, they had to convert the basement out. So the basement, they had a big tank in the basement for doing photo shoots and stuff. Now they've got a big tank outside, an above ground. They built it out of an old shipping container, and it's one end is glass and this whole side is glass.
Oh, cool.
2/3 of it is, and they've got it all decked up with plants and landscaping all around it, and they do all their sales and their photo shoots and stuff right there in their own backyard. But they took a place that was an old pristine place built at just after the turn of the last century, and kept it pristine.
Yeah.
As opposed to nowadays, and I was going to mention this, like Minneapolis. I remember when I was just coming out of high school in the late 70s, they were building the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, where the Vikings play. The Metrodome and the Twins. Well, the Twins had the Met Stadium, which is now the Mall of America. There was the old Met Stadium that was from the inception of professional baseball all the way through growing up. There was the Met Stadium. The Twins played there. There's no roof on it. The Vikings played there too at one time. And they tore that down, and that's where the Mall of America was built. You can go over there right now and see the old Metrodome. Yeah, there it is. The Twins played in the Metrodome. That's right field guy.
Yep.
And I remember, I don't remember what year it was, what era of my life. I think it was in the early 90s when the Mall of America was being conceived and built. And they had a day where you could come out and buy memorabilia of the old Metrodome. So there were guys who would buy, like I had season tickets for 30 years in this seat, and they would buy their seats up and things like that. So the old Metrodome, I think there's a plaque on a floor somewhere that said this was home plate at the old Metrodome or something like that in the Mall of America somewhere.
Well, it's good that they pay homage to that.
Yes, at least paying homage.
Do something to preserve at least some of it, and you talk about places getting renovated and all that. If you, I don't know if you've ever been to Fargo or not.
I have.
Okay, so yeah, you're
not for any great length of time, but
yeah. So we have down at Fargo, we've got the Fargo Theater, and I think if I remember correctly, it was built like in 1926, 1928, something like that. And so you have a lot of that old architecture on the exterior. Well, a lot of the buildings down on that street, but you go inside and it looks a little bit more modern kind of stuff. But then, in the foyer and in the snack bar area, but they maintained balcony seating.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go into the theater itself, you go to the theater itself, and everything is still very reminiscent of an Art Deco feel and design. There are updated
nice
features to it, but it still has that vibe. And they actually they restored a Wurlitzer organ. And so it has a stage, right? And then you have the screen at the back of the stage. But the organ, this guy spent all this time restoring it, and now they have a dude that every Friday and Saturday will come in and will play it prior to the movies starting. So while everybody's coming in, you get all the, it's the, intermission music just at the beginning of the movie, and so he'll come in and play it, but it's fantastic because it actually comes up out of the stage. So it recesses down, and then when he's going to play it, raise it up and sit there, and he just plays and plays and plays, and it's the coolest thing. And to experience something like that in an environment like that, I don't know why people don't do that more. It's such an interesting.
I wish they would. I love the old the theaters that I've been to, like I've mentioned this before on another topic, but when I lived in Detroit, we had the Fox Theater downtown, and it was an old, again, 100-year-old plus theater with the old stage and the velvet seats and which are all refurbished now, of course, but the huge chandelier in the middle of the theater. You had the stage with the golden proscenium arch and all the artwork and the boxes and everything, and they put up a screen. They were also showing I saw the 10 Commandments when they were doing the big screen CinemaScope pictures in their full glory. They had one of those that was installed in that theater as well.
Oh man,
watching this in the old Technicolor, it was just absolutely beautiful, breathtaking from an artistic point of view from what you'd watch on TV.
Right.
And so it was just a fantastic looking place. But what I was going to mention about the Metrodome, or I'm sorry, the new the Hubert H. Humphrey dome in Minneapolis that was built in the late 70s, early 80s. That's already, they were talking about tearing that down already and building a new one. a new stadium. And now they do have a new stadium. It's over by, if memory serves, it is by the University of Minnesota campus, I believe. The what is it? The bank, the U.S. Bank building, or it's a Lina building now, or something like that. That all these companies, they put the money in, they help fund it, and they get their name on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's all modernized, and the old dome. I don't even know if the old dome's still there. That's how out of that I am. But it's amazing how a structure can stand for 100+ years and be a landmark, and then they refurbish it, versus one you built 30, 35, 40 years ago is now obsolete, and we got to rebuild. So
you're familiar with Eddie Izzard?
Yes.
So, did you ever watch his Dress to Kill tour?
Yes.
You know, that whole thing was like,
they thought I looked like Eddie Izzard when I first met Raini.
So remember when he's sitting there and he's like, yeah, you know, I come from Britain, where the history comes from. Yeah, all you people in the States, you know, he's oh, look at this. We have this building that was built over 50 years ago. I know,
yes.
I know it was alive then. Look,
yes.
It's that kind of is how we view things a lot.
It is,
and it's really sad. It really is sad. Have you ever been to Back to the 50s?
Place, I know what Back to the 50s is, but a place Back to the 50s? No,
the event Back to the 50s.
No, I've never been to it. We used to do that, by the way, when I was in high school. We'd have 50s days.
Right.
Now do like 80s days.
Yeah.
It shows you how much you've aged.
I think you would probably really appreciate the Back to the 50s event, and not just because, like, you know,
I know
cars, but it's they probably hold other events there. But that area where they hold it, I don't know if it's the fairgrounds or what, but walking down, everything's still gridded off in streets.
Yeah.
As old street signs. It's like basically they just went into an area, took everything down, made it a park, kept all the streets, and then they set things up as necessary. But it's got this feel to it.
By the way, 2005.
You know, if we could get a little makeup on there, the transvestite commandos.
That picture. The person who sent me that picture said Eddie's a little more feral than you are, but other than that, they thought I looked like him. So this is, by the way, when I first started dating Raini. That picture was taken. So 2005. So there you go. That's my Eddie Izzard. I just happened to think of that when we brought that up. You brought up Izzard. So
yeah. But it's even if it's keeping an atmosphere of a place, you know, even if it's not direct design cues, but there's something with the layout and just something with the atmosphere that's generated. Yeah. Like, look, don't get me wrong. Even being someone who very much appreciates vintage, mid-century, historical things like that. Look, I am completely aware that there was some really bad crap that went on.
Oh yeah,
after year. But there's a lot of good things that could be carried forward. And, you know, it's one of those things that I tend to dress a lot of rockabilly styles, 50s, 40s, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Winter's hit, so all bets are off. It's survival mode at that point. I'm not worried about perfectly combing a pompadour.
Right.
I just want to make it from my car to the building without, having to cut open a tauntaun to survive. And
that's January here.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
But like so many people, they're like, oh, I love the styles, but like, why do you want to bring all that back? And it's like, dude, I don't want to bring back. There are certain things that I think are timeless that we should adhere to. But
I agree.
Try to explain that to the overly woke crowd. Right. But the ones who are just looking for a fight, you know the kind I'm talking about.
Looking to peck a fate.
Right. Yeah. It's
Yes.
Yeah. You know, go ahead.
No. I was just moving on.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
you
Yeah.
have something else to say on that?
Well, no, nothing else to say on that. I was actually gonna. Oh,
That's my
wow.
daughter's building. Now, the fin on there, it doesn't exist. I did this as a concept. When I was doing the mural, I said, we should do the outside of your building. This is as you come off the main drag of the town. And this is their building they bought in Lincolnton that was built in around 1915 to 1920.
That's
And I
awesome.
said, we should paint a big mermaid tail on it. Don't put your name on it, or just put the big mermaid tail on it. And so they've got the marquee out front. I think this was concept to that marquee, the round marquee up in the upper left that didn't exist there. But you got to go to the end of this walk railing on the sidewalk and go around and come back down in to the middle of the front of the building is their main door, with the old doors on it.
That's awesome.
And so that's awesome. So they've got that the middle floor there of windows. That's their main floor. And then the upstairs is wide open. They got nothing up there, just wide open wood floors and the big beams holding it all up. And then the downstairs is like that, but they utilize a lot of the downstairs.
Right.
All the back end of the downstairs. And then on the other side is where they have the tank. But
you have direct rail access, I see. So
yes, direct
things.
rail access. You can see down on the bottom of the building how they bricked up an old entrance there.
Yep.
My daughters didn't do that. That was already done. There was an old entrance there that I'm sure accessed the rail. So it was a pretty cool building at the time. And by the way, this is some of their work. There's just one of the tails they've done and a model. This is not one of my daughters. This is one of the models that would buy their stuff and model it and do undersea stuff. So that's the kind of work they do. And so you can go to finfolk.com. I'm just going to put that in here. Finfolk.com. Or you can go finfolkproductions.com or whatever. So that's what they do. And I insist one of these days I'm going to get them on the radio with me. And we're going to do an interview with them and talk to them about their business. They've had opportunities, my kids, to do TV shows, like those reality shows. And I mean, what better subject matter for a reality show about business or starting a business? Think of, all the stupid stuff they do, that's out there, and good stuff and stupid stuff. But twin daughters or twin girls who are in their 20s are now 31. But at the time, in their mid-20s, good looking, founded a business, highly successful internationally, and they had companies that wanted to do television shows of them, just to follow them around for a season, and especially when they were in Hawaii, which was 10 years ago. And they were in their early 20s back then. So there you go. My granddaughter wants a mermaid fin and accessories. Oh, yeah. Cordia, you go over to their website and see all kinds of cool stuff they've got. Go look up, if you're on Instagram, look up Finfolk Productions. And they've got a million photos of all their stuff and the things they do. And it's just pretty glorious stuff they've got over there. So... yeah. So, but the whole point I brought them up was this: they took an old building and they refurbished it, and they made it work. And I've got other pictures of that building, but you know what I might do here, because it's my show. Don't get too bored with this, but I want to show you what they did with that building, and probably the best way to do that, I'm going to just share my screen with you. How about that? Let me share my screen. I'll show you a couple of things. If we go to, if I go to here, let's see, present, share screen, entire screen, and boom, and share. Boom, you're going to see the woo infinity effect there. Well, let's go over to FinFolk. I'm actually in FinFolk because I was looking up a picture. Okay, this is their Instagram. Now, y'all can see that, right? You see that, Jason?
Yep.
Okay, this is their Instagram page. And that's the photo right there that I had pulled down to show you guys.
I think I may actually follow them or did
Oops.
follow them on Instagram.
Oops. Did you follow them? Did you say?
Yeah, back when it was all first starting out, because I was like,
oh yeah.
My buddy's kids are doing this. I'm gonna,
Okay, now look at
follow
this.
The like.
Stuff. This is the stuff they're doing. Like, this is something current they put out where they do a really nice new top matching. This is the bottom picture is a bra. It wraps around. It's made out of the same latex and stuff like the silicone tops that they do. I don't know why it wants to keep jumping back to my page. There we go. Let's see. So you can see all the different pictures. Their models. They have people. They do the silicone, then they do the neoprene. This is one of the cloth tails right here. It's made out of the same stuff that they do wetsuits out of, and they imprint these things with. They bought up equipment and did it themselves. They used to send it to China, and China kept plagiarizing them and selling them, and so they bought their own equipment and they do it all locally now. They printed this stuff, and then they build the tails. They're all still silicone, and they attach them, and they hand paint stuff and all that. I mean, it's crazy stuff they do. But here, let me see if I've got some really good pictures. And I know we went through this once before. I've got some great pictures of my twin daughters in here somewhere. I thought where they were together doing stuff. But they will get models. This is a model here. I don't know if you can. Oh, maybe not. Oh, maybe this one on the left is one of their friends who is. No, this is Merbella. They did a deal where they came together with another mermaid manufacturer, tail manufacturer, and they did some fantastic stuff recently. This is one of my daughters right there. That's Bryn. That's in one of the tails. And they do all different kinds of stuff. So this is, does this sound like an advertisement for my daughters? Hell yeah. This is what they do. And
gotta support. Gotta plug them.
That's right. Like I say, one of these days I'm going to get them on here. They don't do a lot of posing in their own tails because they have these models, like I say, like this. These models all around the world will do stuff for them, which is very cool. And let's see if we can find. I think this is one of their model friends. It doesn't have her name on it, so I don't think that's. They've got like 8 women that all look like that work for them. So, that manufacture the tails and all of that stuff.
I think one of the things that's always been crazy about this to me is the fact that what a niche market. Like, yes. Who would ever think, normal Joe walking around would never think that something like this would take off and be successful in the way that it has. And it's incredibly awesome that it has.
Yes.
It's just one of those. It's just one of those. Hold on. Wait, what?
It's crazy. This is a picture of, it says right here, here's a glimpse of some of the tails that will be available during our Small Business Saturday sale. This was 3 weeks ago. They put some of these up. And they'll do a seasonal sale. Every season they create 4 or 5 new tails for the season. Here's the backside. You ever wonder what a mermaid's ass looked like? There it is. That's behold breathtaking manta, a tail that embodies the eerie beauty of the deep sea. Its sleek black and silver hues, adorned with haunting stripes with hints of steely blue, is inspired by the deep dwelling pelagic mantas that gracefully glide through the darkest corners of the ocean. Manta features Merbella's belladonna fluke and also boasts intricate armored scale plates down its spine, adding an otherworldly touch to this ethereal masterpiece.
Did you write that, Scotty?
I did not. My daughters are highly creative people, I got to tell you.
You read that like you wrote it. Like,
she thinks the way I think. One of my kids wrote that.
Okay.
So they think the way I think. Is that art? No, that's photography. That's some of their tales.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a picture of my kids, and then I'll stop scrolling through this so you can see what my kids look like. My twin daughters. Let's see. There's a nice picture of them. It's slightly older. It's a couple of years old. But of them, see, look at this. They do, they have, their models will do, some of their own people will do, to show off the tails. They go undersea, aquariums, undersea, and they do all this stuff. These are the tops. They make tops that look like this, and headpieces and wrist gear and stuff like that. My daughters, they will mold some stuff out of clay to create some of this stuff. Are they in this picture? Let's see. That is Abby, I believe, right in the middle. No, Abby is the one lying down on the right, and Bryn is behind her in the middle. That's my twin daughters there, Abby and Bryn. And I don't know where this one was taken. Could have been Hawaii, one of their trips to Hawaii. And they're fully functional in the water. I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff. And they've got, it's funny, I haven't seen a picture of Hannah yet. Hannah is one of their longtime employees that models a hell of a lot of their stuff. And I'm not seeing her in any of these pictures, but she's constantly in the pictures. Because she does a lot of the modeling. And might be her up there. But you get the idea. This is what they do. This is what they do for a living. And there's one of the cloth tails. That one looks like it doesn't fit quite as well as some that I've seen. There's somebody just modeling it, maybe. But they do custom tails that fit the person, and they're made out of silicone, poured silicone. And the Key West Mermaid. This is just another person that buys their tails, puts up pictures. And so they're well known. They've established a fantastic business for 12 years. They're very established. And I think they might be in this picture. No, they're not in that picture. Is that Hannah? That is not Hannah. But yeah, there you go. Gives you an idea. And I know you're kind of quiet over there, Jason. I'm not really talking about anything that is shared conversation. I'm just showing off my kids' stuff.
No, it's fine by me. I'm more than happy to support a dad who's supporting his kids.
This was over a little over a year ago. This was their one of their sales with all those fins.
That green one in the lower corner was pretty cool.
In the lower right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And they will take fish that are real fish in the ocean, and they'll create tails patterned after to look like fish in the sea. So that's obviously in a pool or tank of some kind. I was hoping I would find a picture of their tank here. Here's Hannah. This is their employee, Hannah. Hi. Good morning.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Is it snowing?
Ride our bikes around the home.
It's not snowing. Yay. Sorry, I know you love snow. I'm not a snow person.
I farted.
You farted? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Smell it from here.
Yeah. You smell it from there. So there's Hannah. Hannah does a lot of modeling for them. And she also works for them. She sews fins on tails and stuff like that. So
cool.
So yeah, they're I still haven't found the quintessential picture of my daughters. There's one where the two of them are sitting side by side on a rock. Let me scroll through here kind of fast. You can kind of fill your eyes a little bit as we go. No, that's not them. They're sitting in kind of a jungly looking setting. And see, you can see all the people that buy tails, they end up throwing them their pictures. They go out and do photo shoots in them and send them to my kids because they buy these mermaid tails. Why? To put them in a closet? No, they buy them to wear them. And they do shows. And there's big, believe it or not, there's big conventions and events. I think that's Hannah in a wig. No, that's not Hannah. But
yeah, I know a gal that I met at an event that my buddy Simon puts on, who she lives in Florida. She works and does like basically mermaid burlesque.
yes,
They have a tank in this pub or in this bar, and you know, instead of the big mirror behind the bar, it's the window.
That's for you, Jason. You can be a merman.
I don't know if I'm coordinated enough to do that.
Sorry.
But yeah, they hold like basically shows right there during happy hour and things like that. And yeah, it's kind of crazy watching what they do.
I think it's amazing what they do.
Oh yeah.
And they do even up here at the Mall of America, the big aquarium here, the SeaWorld or whatever it's called here. They do. There you go. That's what a merman looks like. That's you, Jason.
Yeah, no.
You can be a merman too. You can be a merman too. Bloop. Come on, it can't be that many pictures back. I just want to find the one quintessential picture that I love of them that you'd think I'd have saved so I could access it quickly, and I don't. And
how awful.
I hope all of you listening and watching are enjoying this. Pretty soon I'll just abandon this because I'm not getting where I want to get, and I'm not seeing the picture I want to see. It's probably way the heck back there. It's probably older than I think it is. My daughters haven't changed much. You know, they just seem like the way they always have been. Oh, look at this tail. Look at that. Just amazing stuff they do. And they hand paint all that stuff. It's all airbrushed. So here's some of the tops they do. All this stuff. This is all airbrushed stuff that they do. And they use a special kind of paint and a special kind of mix and all of that to make this stuff work.
Yeah, there's a lot of technical expertise that goes into
there certainly is
doing that sort of thing. Yeah.
Look at this gold tail they did. This is back when they were using these 3-dimensional scales too. They do 3 different kinds of tails. The silicone, which is all molded out, the physical scales that you saw on that one, and then the cloth tails, the neoprene tails. And the fins themselves are not neoprene. They're made out of silicone as well. And I haven't seen any pictures of their tank, so that bothers me a little bit here. But it's just, I don't know who that one is. Just another person who buys tails from them and does her own photo shoots. So, okay. I am not coming across the pictures of my daughters. The one picture I am really looking for, which I really enjoy, which is, and I may have passed it without even noticing it because I'm going way back here. So I'll abandon this quest in a moment. I've done some artwork for them too, which is fun. I swear the picture exists. And are these tops they did? This might be some of their tops. They've got some that look like octopuses that are all carved out or sculpted, and they cast them in silicone.
Mm.
And I haven't even seen those in here. So this is their Instagram. You can go check them out. Check out what they do. I know I'm scrolling fast here, but I wanted to see if I could actually find that picture of them, but I'm not seeing it anywhere. So
How
it's
far
way
back have you scrolled, Scotty?
What's that?
How far back have you scrolled? Because I
Well, let's see.
thought
Some
I
of these
saw a picture
are
of
80
saw-
weeks. 80 weeks. So this is only a
80
year and a half ago.
Okay, I thought I saw Elrond in the background of one of those.
You may have.
Yeah,
They're big fantasy freaks. My daughters have this motto for what they were, and it's not really original with them, but they've glommed onto it and they've made it their own. Is the we make dreams come true, and that's the kind of people they are. They're happy people. They're good people. They're good-hearted. They enjoy what they do, and is that them? I can't tell in miniature. Nope, that's not my kids. So it's just, I probably have to just do a super quick scroll to get all the way back there to find them. It's probably several years old now, and that's not Bryn. Anyway, I was going to show off my daughters. That's all. And they've been in the background of some of these photos, but that's what they do. But the whole topic of them came up when we're talking about refurbishing old buildings. They bought that old building and they refurbished it, but they kept it pristine, which was their goal, to keep it pristine. So
it's a really cool building.
It really is.
Yeah.
And they have a great business. This is leggings they do. I think this is leggings. No, that's a fin. I thought that was a woman in leggings. My kids don't have many pictures of them up in their tails, I guess is what it comes down to. And they've made their own, several of them. Here's Hannah again. She's a friend because she's one of their employees. She's been a long-time employee of theirs. I think almost the whole time they've been in existence. Hannah has worked for them. And they've got 8 or 9 employees now that are full-time employees, and I think they pay them pretty well. I know they take them to Disney They take them all to Disney World at least once or twice a year. So my kids know Disney World, like they bought the, Finn Folk and all that has their own condo. They took my kids down last week and they had like a 5-bedroom place or something like that.
Oh,
at
wow.
One of the resorts. So kitchen and bathrooms and all of that stuff. So, well, I'm not going to find it, so I'll quit with this. I hope that's been enjoyable for some of you to see some of this, to see what they do. And one of these days we're going to have them on and let them talk about their business. And as I'm just winding this up, I'm just doing the quick scroll just to see if I catch a picture of them. And we just saw the one where they were in the cave, kind of in the middle and in the background and all of that. But you get the idea. That's their business. So I'll get out of this. That's them. Oh, I got to go back here. And we will stop sharing our screen. Stop screen. So there we go.
Hey,
Hey, Kelly Hosek.
In your sweater, you thought it looked better on me.
What?
I still
your sweater
remember
looks better on her.
December. Me in your sweater, you thought it looked better.
On the 3rd of December?
Yeah.
And we always will remember the 7th of December. Da, 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 and they mowed them down. Old World War II song. So, hey, Ellery, come here a second. I'm going to put her to work.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, will you take this and fill coffee and put some creamer in that for me, please?
Can you come get it upstairs?
No, you got to bring it back down. You got to deliver it. There's money. There's money in it for you. Whoever brings it back down. Yeah, I got a dime sitting here somewhere. Let's find out when you get back. Let's see how good you do it. There you go.
You might end up with like coffee syrup, like put a bunch of sugar in there.
Yeah, a little sugar, little. Oh, I thought I had a dollar bill laying here in my. I do. There. Coffee at my house. To have it hand delivered from a small child will cost $1. At least today. Here it is.
It's cheaper than Starbucks.
Yeah, way cheaper than Starbucks. So you need a little Bailey's Irish cream in that. I love Bailey's in my coffee, Kelly.
I tell you what, Bailey's.
You know what else is good?
I can't do Bailey's anymore. I have to do Carlin's.
Little Captain Morgan's private stock is good in coffee as well. But were I to put that in, I start to give the persona that I'm an alcoholic. I like a little booze in my coffee in the morning.
It's Sunday, and
Adriana asks Scotty, how did the girls get through moments where they were discouraged, like creating their business? That would be a good thing to have them on to talk about. One of the things I want to talk about. I know they had their discouraging moments. I don't think that I know of. I don't think they ever thought of folding it all up and getting out of it. I don't think they've ever had really rough times like that. Their business has just consistently built. It's grown. It's grown slower at times. It's grown faster at times, but it's always grown. The creative process, they always seem, my daughters are such creative people. And again, I sound like a doting dad, and I am to a certain extent. But, Bailey's is good in hot chocolate too, Kelly. So says Kelly Strickland Hosick.
Try Carlin's. Carlin's Irish cream.
I don't have any Irish cream around, or I would put some in my coffee this morning.
Once you've tried Carlin's, you can't go back to Bailey's.
Oh, really?
To me, at this point, Bailey's tastes like it has artificial sweeteners in it. After Carlin's. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. I bought a loaf of bread at the store the other day. It was one of those gourmet loaves, specially packaged, and it was a Bailey's Irish cream loaf. I think they're doing it for Christmas, and I thought,
where'd you find that?
Grocery store.
Which grocery store?
Well, I bought it, and it was a loaf only about that big, and it's kind of the gooey kind of bread, which you cut it and it's very moist.
Yeah.
And, I bit into that thing, and the alcohol was live. It was like, so it wasn't. I don't think it was on the regular shelf at the grocery store.
Now I want a rum cake. Oh man.
Yeah, rum cake. Oh,
good Jamaican rum cake. Oh,
I used to make Scotch. What is the typical butter cookie from Scotland? The Scottish shortbread cookies.
Okay, yeah.
I used to, for Christmas, would make shortbread cookies with butter rum frosting.
Ooh.
And the way you make that, and I got this from a Scotsman. He gave me this recipe, and you create the sauce, and you do all the buttery stuff and the sugary stuff. And you make that, and then you take it off the heat, and you add the rum, and so you're not burning off the alcohol, and you mix that in. And I had people. We had a Christmas party once at the office, and evening Christmas party. It was after work, and everybody was coming back for the butter rum cookies, and people were getting a little lit off my cookies. So the cookies became a hit, and they were like,
"Yeah,
you got to bring in some more of those cookies you had here last year."
I used to do Bananas Foster's.
What word is ugly? Kelly, what did I miss? What did I say? She said, Kelly said, don't say that word. It's ugly. I don't know what I said.
Burning off the alcohol, but
burning off the alcohol, that's ugly. I'm not sure where you said that. At what point you said that, Kelly? So sorry. if I have offended. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I repent. I rent my garments, and I repent in dust and ashes. Oh, moist. Yeah, moist. Women hate that word. I think guys hate that word too.
I think everybody
moist.
kind of hates that
You know
word.
what's moist? Moist is my jock strap after playing, 10 rounds of volleyball or basketball or football. That's moist.
Moist was the carpets on the Scottish inns that I stayed at in the middle of nowhere, Alabama.
Where's my coffee? My coffee is not being delivered. She got distracted, I'm sure.
It's easy to do.
Stop, says Kelly.
Stop
Hey,
what?
Jason,
Saying moist?
everybody, we've only got about 15 minutes left of this show, but I am going to go up and get my coffee. So I'm going to take a 2-minute break. All right. I'm going to play a little something. It'll turn off and we'll be right back. If I'm in this chair, we're ready to roll. If I'm not, we'll be back shortly.
So you're going to play something on the screen, so I'm not left with the ball like I was that one time.
This is only a minute long. It's only a minute long. I can't play certain things because they do copyright, and they'll give me a copyright hit on this because of the music in the background. That's why I don't play it anymore. But how about maybe you can comment on this when you get back. Remember that little animated piece, This Land Is Mine, based on the music from the movie Exodus? Let's play this. Folks, watch this. This is a couple of minutes long. Hopefully I'll be back by the time it's over. Sit tight. I'm going to go get some coffee.
This land is mine. God gave this land to me. This brave and ancient land to me. And when the morning sun reveals her hills and plains, then I see a land where children can run free. So take my hand and walk this land with me, and walk this lovely land with me. Though I'm just a man, when you are by my side, with the hand of God, I know I can be strong. A man, when you are by my side, with the help of God, I know I can be strong to make this land our home. If I must this land our own, until I die, this land
right, there we go.
Interesting. That's basically the entirety of the struggle of that region,
Pretty much.
summed up in a 2-minute and change video. That's one of those things that the depth of lack of understanding of how timelines and events have played out is astonishing. And I mean, like, I'm not even an expert on a lot of that particular stuff, but I at least know enough to where I can look at something and be like, look, here's what's going on.
Yep.
And actually have a reasonable opinion about it. I have this whole mess has just, it's one of those things where I look at it and I'm like, every day we stray further from God's light. Because the ignorant trolls have just, come out from under the bridge and they just hop onto whatever, and they glam onto whatever philosophy they align with, and they don't take a look at anything objectively.
Right.
They've been screaming about the three Israeli hostages that were and it's like, look, half of the people in any of these chat rooms and any of these threads on Reddit, on X, on Facebook, wherever, the majority of them have never set foot one in a combat environment, so they don't even grasp the magnitude of all the stuff that you're dealing with in an urban warfare environment. And they just spout off with all this stuff. It's like, there was a thread on Reddit that I was kind of following, and I ended up commenting, on somebody's comment. And, basically the gist of it was that, hey, look, you have any combat time, any deployment time? No, I have 0, but that doesn't mean that I can't, look at something and be critical.
Right.
Like, it's not that you can't be critical of it, but here's the thing. You don't know anything about that event that took place other than what the media has spit out to you and what the Israeli government has told you, has accepted the mistake, right? This isn't something that they've, tried to sweep under the rug. They've been very, very upfront about it. And but crap happens, man. Yeah. Crap happens in fog of war, and none of these people get that. And undisciplined IDF, like, dude, you have somebody with a PKM or an RPK or a Dishka lobbing rounds at you at 600 rounds a minute while you're moving from cover to cover to get to a better firing position, and then have random people pop out in the middle of a firefight. It happens. You try, no matter how disciplined an outfit is, you're always going to have incidences. You can try to minimize it and mitigate it, but you're never going to eliminate it.
I have no combat experience, but it's not too hard to imagine being under. Think of the kinds of pressures that we're on in silly things that are not killing other people and not waging war, but the kinds of conflicts you get in, how easy it is to make a mistake. Yeah. How easy it is for, let's say, a cop to shoot somebody because they think that their life could be in imminent danger.
Yeah.
And people go, well, why didn't he shoot him in the leg? Why did he shoot him? The guy didn't even have a gun. Well,
because you're not trained to shoot him in the
dark
leg,
and somebody's reaching into their coat, or you tell them, put your hands up, you don't know if they're reaching for a gun. And if you pause another second, you could be the one shot in the head.
Well,
things happen. I get it.
The whole shoot people in the leg thing, that's like one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, because it's like, okay, so I shoot someone in the leg, if they're all, cranked up on whatever substance that they're high on, that might not do anything to them. If they're on PCP, good night. You can unload a whole magazine into that person and they'll start running at you.
And I've told this story before, and Kelly knows this story intimately. The man who shot my mom when he was on the lam, and he was in hiding, and he was threatening me and my family. Of all things, I used to sit up at night with a loaded shotgun across my lap when we were out at the ranch and out in the middle of nowhere, kind of, and had a loaded revolver at the time up, and this is 1999, up in my bedroom that my wife had on the nightstand. And so I was told by the FBI Fugitive Task Force, shows up at your house. They said, knocks on the door, wants to talk to you. He says, don't talk to him. Don't engage him in conversation. Don't let him in the house, for God's sake. And they said, and you dot your I. And I said, and I knew what he meant, but he says, let me explain that. And he said, that's 2 to the chest, 1 to the head.
Yeah.
And he says, you don't, and he specifically said, do not try to shoot him in the hand to wound him or shoot him in the leg. He says, don't shoot to wound. You shoot for critical mass. Chest, head. And this is what the FBI told me. And they said, and by chance, if he does not have a weapon on him, he says, go get a butter knife and make sure it's in his hand when we get there. And I said, really? You're going to tell me that? I can't tell you who told me that. He says, we all know what his record is, which we didn't know when he had married my mom. Been in prison twice for attempted murder.
Oh, wow.
And he blew up. A woman talked to me when he was a fugitive. A woman called me that in the 70s, he was dating this woman. The daughter called me, and she said she was a young teenager at the time, and he molested her and said he would kill her mom if she told her mom. And she told her mom anyway. It's just one of those things. And he put a pipe bomb under her mom's car seat, blew her up, and she lived. But she had, at the time, we're talking the year 2000, she had 19 reconstructive surgeries from the hips down, and a life of misery. And he did 6.5 years in prison for that. So, and that's it. And so on the basis of all of this, the FBI told me, if he shows up at your house, he says, you shoot to kill.
Yeah.
And he says, if you can't just drag him inside the house, he says, you make sure there's a weapon in his hand. And he says, just to avoid complications.
Right. Yeah. But that's the thing is, people don't know what they don't know. And,
right.
And honestly, I ended up telling the guy, because he tried to give me this whole thing. He's like, so what? Like, now you're saying I can't be critical of, of directors of movies. And I'm like, if you're going down this rabbit hole, man, you've missed the point.
You never know.
But what you should have just said was, this is tragic. This is horrible. We hate seeing this happen. Hopefully it gets sorted out and we figure out what happened exactly. Yeah. Appropriate actions are taken, and God be with their families and all of that. Like
that whole thing with Alec Baldwin. I don't hold him personally at fault. I think it was, what do we call an accident? It was an accident. Something got overlooked somewhere. Somebody did something wrong along the way through 20 hands.
Right.
What they're trying to find liability for is for money. That's the only reason they're looking for legal liability, is who do we sue for the money?
Yeah.
And that's you hate to be that crass about it, but that's what it's come down to. Yes, somebody lost their life. Yes, somebody wants somebody to pay for that.
Right.
How do you pay? If my wife was killed, what would be the sum that I'd want to put on that? You couldn't give me $1 million and set, oh, it's okay. It's okay now. Thank you.
Right. There's really there's not really a price you can put on that kind of loss. I mean, right. I have to say that from a certain standpoint with his particular case, I actually kind of got to, it's one of those agree to disagree things. And that's because how I was raised with firearms and then how I was trained with firearms. You have a firearm handed to you, you clear that weapon before you do anything with it.
Right.
To avoid exactly that sort of thing, and look, I'm a horrible person. I get it. Whatever anybody wants to label me now, I don't label me now. I don't have my weapons in safes.
Right.
because I
Can't
wanna-
access them in the safe without a combination and going
I
through the rigmarole to get it.
I don't keep them loaded. Well, okay, I keep them in what would be called an amber status. The ones that I would reach for personal defense are in an amber status. So fully loaded magazine, nothing in the pipe. And I personally, just for the extra safety thing, I would rather run the risk of me getting hemmed up by an attacker and have to, deal with Israeli carry, as they call it. You don't have a round in the chamber and have to pull one out and rack it and shoot, and then shoot. Just that extra level of protection from something else stupid going off. But that's the thing of it, is that's if that's how you're going to do stuff, you train that way so that you can become more efficient at doing what you have to do. But like I don't do that because, one, like when my kids come out for the summer, they all know, like, look, we don't go in dad's room and we don't play with this stuff. And they have the knowledge and the respect. You just don't mess with it without asking first, and
makes sense.
However you want, not specifically you judge me, but the wider public audience judge me however they want on that one. But every time I touch a firearm, there is a certain level of clearing that happens with it. And quite frankly, looking at the volume of movies that Alec Baldwin has done where there has been firearms play.
Yes.
He should know better and should have known better and should have just automatically gone through that stuff. So yes, complete accident. There is a certain element of culpability on his part for having not done that. Now, however you want to take
that goes to the production then. That's the production. Is he personally liable or is it a production thing? That's the question I have. I don't find him as being somebody that is so nonchalant about weapons that he made he obviously made a mistake. There was a mistake made. Did he know? Is he culpable? His production is probably culpable.
Yeah.
So there's supposed to be 10 guys look at those weapons before you pick it up and use it on screen or in filming.
Mm-hmm.
And something got missed, obviously. So I just want to say Wendy's doing her show. I'm just talking to her now. She can come on if she'd like to. I sent you the link, Wendy.
Wendy, why are you hanging out there in the audience? Just come in.
Stop hanging in the audience. Just come in. I'll hold your.
You're going to sit out there in the audience and not come in here with us. I'm insulted.
I'm insulted.
Junior.
Nice. So yeah, we got about minus 1 minute on this show. We're already overtime. How about that? Go check out Wendy's Wicked Women. I just saw a message from her on that.
I'm gonna head over there.
She'll make it in because we're done.
Yep.
This morning. So on the show, Jason, thanks for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. It's always fun hanging out.
Everybody for being here. It's been fun. Come back tomorrow, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Intrepid Radio, 9 p.m. Central Time, and Captain's Cabin following. And look, we did all last week did we skip any shows last week? It's been every week I've had at least one show I've had to drop. So just gets that.
I think we hit them all last week. Think.
I got them all Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So come on, man. It was such fun the old days. It was every night, and every night was this, every night was that, and well, it's gotten a little touchier goier sometimes. The busyness of my family. So all of you, come on back Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll see you here. Jason, I'm going to let you go. You have a fun day, brother.
Same to you.
Good to see you.
Have fun, everyone. Good seeing you.
Bye. And everybody else, thanks for coming on. We're going to get out of here. We're going to give you the rest of your day to do with whatever you'd like. So live long and prosper and shalom.